Warriors, welcome. Welcome to another important video in which you will gain a tremendous amount of clarity towards this idea of overthinking. Before I get into this video, my friends, yes, the Health Anxiety Program is now available, and you can learn more about it right here. Friends, when we think about overthinking, we must approach this pattern and this cycle in a way where we understand that it isn't really us consciously overthinking, but rather it's a mechanism. And this mechanism within us that becomes unconscious likes to overthink and replay the same ideas daily out of fear, out of protective measures. So when you're in a conversation with somebody and you tend to identify with being an overthinker, it's important for you to understand that it's not really you consciously overthinking, because consciously, many times, the answer is much different than what the subconscious mind believes. The subconscious mind is very emotional. The subconscious mind only thinks about now, not our future. The subconscious mind is our storage system. All the data that we compiled over these years, all the interpretations we made during childhood comes up as unconscious ideas and behaviors and such. So I want you to understand that overthinking is more so a defense mechanism to keep you within a familiar place of suffering coming from the inner child. And when you understand this, we can begin to guide the inner child and subconscious mind to new ideas, new belief systems, because the old belief systems are outdated. They're from our childhood, and it's time to guide those into a different direction. But I want to share with you 5 of these main reasons the subconscious mind leads us towards overthinking. So let's get into these right away, and comment below and let me know if you can relate to what it is I'm speaking about, my friends. Number 1 reason is because of perfectionism. Perfectionism, you know. When I think about perfectionism, I think about times in my life when authority figures told me that there was only one way to do something. And when we were kids, we were very curious, we were wondrous, we were flexible in how we saw things, right? We didn't jump to conclusions, but rather we acted very, very quickly. So we have to understand, where does this perfectionism come from, right? Where does it come from? And I also want you to understand that when perfectionism wants to arise in any given situation throughout your day, you must understand that this is a persona part. I call these persona parts because you've got so many of them. Some persona parts you're giving more attention to and acting upon, and other persona parts are being suppressed. Let me give you an example. Perfectionism is one of those persona parts that you like to enact because you've enacted it so often and believe it's a part of your identity. And if you don't do something or think in a perfect manner, then the answer will not be in line with the familiar place that you have been living in recently. Then there are persona parts of letting go, embracing uncertainty, right? Humor, fun. These things get suppressed for the sake of keeping things the way they are, okay? So when it comes to perfectionism, yes, it's important to understand the roots of your perfectionism, yes, but I highly suggest that you come from a place of being outcome focused rather than look to constantly understand where these persona parts came from. Because once you understand where it comes from, you have to do something about it. You have to begin reframing the process. Number 2 reason why we subconsciously overthink is because of control. Control. Now, there's a fear of losing control, my friends, and anxiety and losing control go hand in hand. When we think about health anxiety, we're more so afraid of living than we are the fear of dying. We're afraid of living in a way that is unique, wondrous to us. And we're afraid of what others may think. We're afraid of the direction we may go in terms of relationship and career. There's so many unknowns that come into play within life. And so we overthink because we want to keep control over every aspect of our lives. We're so afraid of our spouses leaving us. We're so afraid of losing our jobs and careers. We're so afraid financially. We're so afraid in terms of health. You know, we want to maintain a certain degree, a high degree of control over our lives because we don't trust in what may show up should we lose that control. Does this sound like you? And if it does, let me ask you an important question. Can you begin to let go of some of that control for the sake of something that you may not know of at this moment, but may favor you more greatly and deeply in the future? You can begin letting go of what you have for something that is so much better. If only you can trust in this ability that you have to let go of control. And every anxious moment throughout the day is an opportunity to let go of that control. And once you begin to flow with life, once you begin to understand that you are a co-creator in your life, and there is a source energy and intelligence out there that can also guide you towards your goals and dreams and optimal health, then you will truly be living. Reason number 3 is certainty. To be certain of the outcome, and it goes hand in hand with the need for control. We overthink because we want to make sure that everything stays the same. We want to make sure that we know what the answer is going to be. So we overthink, and more often than not, overthinking creates more questions rather than leading us to more answers, right? This is something that I realized in my healing journey. I was like, man, I'm getting nowhere here. It's kind of like I'm on a hamster wheel and it's going around and around. Overthinking gives me something to do. It makes me believe that I'm doing the right thing. Overthinking is kind of this, you wake up in the morning and immediately you're mentally engaged because you want to figure everything out. You want to make sure that every part of your life has a certain degree of certainty within it. But my friends, life truly begins when you begin to embrace the uncertainty of life. This is important, and this goes a long way towards healing any form of anxiety. No matter what the outcome may be, there are lessons connected to it. No matter what the outcome may be, there is a sense of spontaneousness and adventure that can come with those answers. With anxiety, one of the biggest things that we lose is that spontaneity, is that flexibility, is that wonder. We need to get it back. Number 4 reason is because we distrust in our intuition. We feel very, very vulnerable when we're not overthinking, right? But let me tell you something. Can you begin to take action and resolve situations without overthinking? I know you can, but are you willing to? Are you willing to do this thing called trusting in your intuition? The intuition is a heart sense. It's a feeling that we get that says, you know what? This is true and this is more so false. The intuition is the resemblance or the mirror of our upgraded belief systems. This form of intelligence comes from a different place, not a very limited place within that mental capacity that we have, but the intuition many times goes deeper. It sees the future before the mental does. And with intuition, when we start to act on our intuition, we find ourselves experiencing life differently than how we have. Okay, and this connects to our childlike wonder once again. So again, I'm going to ask you a question here. Are you willing to begin taking action based on what your intuition tells you, rather than divert back and revert back to the mental side of things and stay in that hamster wheel called overthinking? I know you can, and I know that there are things in your life right now that you need to do, but you're not doing out of fear. So let's put fear aside a little bit here and let's focus on outcome. Let's focus on exploration. Because a lot of anxiety healing comes down to exploration, the ability to explore new areas about ourselves and life. Number 5 is connection to identity. A lot of overthinkers say, it's just who I am. It's just who I am. It's not who you are. As I mentioned earlier, it's a persona part. It's a part of you that you've given too much attention, focus, and energy to that has grown over time. But let me ask you this. What if you begin to connect new persona parts, new characteristics to your identity? What would happen then? Yes, it would be unfamiliar. Yes, it would feel like, you're going into a new bar and you're about to speak to that person, that woman or that man there, and you feel vulnerable, right? You want to approach them, you want to start a conversation, but a part of you says, what if you get rejected, right? What will happen to your ego? How will you look at yourself in the mirror again, right? So, with healing anxiety comes vulnerability. With healing anxiety comes uncertainty. With healing anxiety comes the establishment of a new I am, of a new identity. And if you can embrace these facts, it's going to create a domino effect. My friends, if you're stuck in traffic, right? When does the traffic start moving? The traffic can only move once the car right at the front begins to move. Nothing at the back can manifest and move until the car at the front moves. So, this healing journey is about taking one step at a time. First car, second car, third car, and so on. You don't have to be sure of what's to come. All you have to do is make sure that you take the kind of intuitive action that you know you need to take now that you're not taking. And let me remind you once again, overthinking has nothing to do with your identity, okay? It's a very well practiced way of approaching situations and challenges, and it isn't who you are. Understand this to finish. Fall in love with not knowing what tomorrow may bring. Because if you can fall in love with not knowing what tomorrow may bring, I promise you, life will begin to speak to you in ways where you go through your day and recognize, my God, what happened to my anxiety? I didn't really heal my anxiety head on. I just looked to work with life and all the changes that come with it. And in turn, my anxiety was healed. I want you to comment below. Let me know the biggest message that you gained from this video. And remember that you are more than anxiety. I love you all.